All right, so in this video, we're basically going to be picking up where we left off. So we've created the design on the iPhone, and we've exported it through Facebook Messenger, the SVG file. So we'll go into Messenger here and bring in that design. And then we'll go into CorelDRAW. Now I'm using CorelDRAW X6 for this video demonstration. So let's go ahead and import that SVG file here. And there is our SVG file. So we're going to right click and choose Ungroup All. And we don't really need the bitmap. We just need the vector graphics part of it. Now the finished sign is going to be about 3 foot wide. So I'm going to resize my sign here to be 18 inches because obviously 18 and 18 is 36. All right, so from there, what we're going to do is any edits that we need to make, we're going to make them now, and then we can flip it over to make the other half. So it really depends on how we're going to go about actually making the sign. Now, in this particular example, this is going to be a sign that I make for a customer, and we're going to be using the 2-part LED neon. Okay, but I'm going to show you some of the different editing that we would do if we were using a 1-part LED neon, where the light, the neon strip, is embedded in the diffuser. The 2-part, the LED strip is separate from the diffuser because it is slightly different between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our macro that we created for CorelDRAW, and it has some tools in it that make the editing process for this design really simple. So first things first, we are going to be making our sign out of 8mm LED neon, which is not common. The common everyday stuff is 6mm, but we're going to be using 8mm. So we're going to hold down our shift key and click on add stroke, and what that will do is it adds the 8mm stroke to what we had selected. So when we're doing the 1-part LED neon, where the neon pieces connect, we want a small gap between those from a production standpoint. So what we have to do is click where it says trim ends. Now look over here on the left hand side, and when I click on that, you see how that gradually gets smaller. And we just click on that until that has the space that we want between the two elements. You see there? And then to trim on the other side, we just hold down the shift key and we can trim back. See that there? Okay, so now we have that small gap between those two pieces. And we would just do the same thing here. So click on trim ends. You can see there on the left hand side, it's getting a little bit smaller until we have the space that we want there. And then down here, same thing, but this time hold the shift key and we're going to trim the bottom end. Let's see, until it has the space we want. Okay. Same thing here. We're going to hold down shift trim ends. And that's going to take care of that spacing for us. Maybe one more. And then the same thing here. Okay, so there we go. So that's basically all of the adjustments that we needed to. It's just a small little adjustment. And so now we can go ahead and mirror this over. So we'll just go ahead and mirror it over like that. Now we have the whole design. But these are still two separate elements. So we need to combine those. So we can select them both and hit the combine button. Combine. And what we're doing is clicking on one and then holding our shift key down and clicking on the other. And that's how we can combine those two. We can also just use our keyboard shortcut of Control L. So sometimes I'll do that. So we have the combine here, but we can also go to the arrange menu and choose combine as well. Okay, so there's a variety of ways to do that. Typically, I'll use the keyboard shortcut because I'm pretty familiar with keyboard shortcuts. All right, so yes, this technically is one piece. That much is true, but where the two connected, there's node on top of node, and generally speaking, we don't want that. So we're going to just come in here and click on that join nodes function. We'll select both of them, join nodes, select both of them, join nodes. You can set up a keyboard shortcut for join nodes, but there's not one by default in CorelDRAW. So that's a little bit more of a process to set up that custom keyboard shortcuts. All right, so that's kind of phase one. Now I'm going to move on to phase two, so I'm going to make a duplicate. And so what we're going to need is some type of backer board. Now we could be doing it in clear acrylic, we could be using MDF or some other type of wood backboard. Typically we use a wooden backboard versus acrylic. So in this case we're going to be using 1/2-inch plywood. So we're going to use the little Neon Flex designer here to add our backer board. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and hit Shift Add Backer Board here. And you can see it did something for us. And we're going to talk more about what it actually did here. So this is a tool that we created to make the process of creating your LED layouts much easier. We're not going to go really in depth on what this tool does in this video, but we do have other videos that talk about all the different things it can do. So for right now, we're going to edit our backer board here. So the first thing to do is just double click on the backer board and get rid of any of our islands. This is what I call them anyhow. These are our little voids in the design that we just need to get rid of. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my pen tool, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to click in a couple areas here. So we're going to click over here, click up here, here, and we're just going to kind of come over here. I'll just show you what we're going to do here just real quick. Okay, and then we're just going to give that some type of fill color just so you can see it. And then I'm going to select my backer board and weld those two together so you can kind of see what we did. We kind of got rid of all of that stuff that was kind of in the way there a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. Alright, so now we just have to clean up right here on the end. So again, we'll grab our pen tool. We'll do that right there. And we'll give it a color just so you can see it. Now what we want to do is I'm just going to come in here. And we want to be right about like that. Okay. Now I want to copy this in the exact same location over here. So to do that, we'll just make a duplicate of it, and then we'll mirror it, and then we'll take it from this point and connect it to that point, and now they're the same on both sides, and we can weld all that together now. And so now you have that. Okay. Now in this add backer board function, let's go back over here to wireframe mode so we can see this. You can see that these closed shapes did not get our double line groove. And so we're going to do that right now. So we're going to select those shapes, Shift key, Shift key, Shift key, Shift key, and Shift key. And then we're going to the range menu and choose Convert Outline to Object. And now you can see that all of those do have the double lines like all the red lines did. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a contour 1 inch to the outside here. You can see that's been added. And then we'll select that and our original backer board and weld those two together. And now we essentially have our main sign board. Now I am going to change those to white, first of all. So now we can go ahead and take a look at just another piece of this puzzle. And I want it to say Jay's custom garage over the top of this. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things that we've created to, again, to make this whole process of creating layouts for LED neon signs just that much easier. So we're going to import a object called our banner text shape. And this is just a little shape that we created in CorelDRAW. I can show you just real quickly how we created that if you're interested. So all we did was draw out an ellipse, and then we added a contour to that ellipse. See there? And then we'll go ahead and break that apart. So now we have two pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle that's just wider than my ellipse. Okay? And then I'm just kind of randomly, I could just come in here and create a line. Now I want to duplicate this line exactly in the same spot on the other side. So I just select that, I hit the plus key on the keyboard, and then I hold my shift key down and select my large rectangle, and now when I mirror it, it's in the exact same position here on the left. I grab my paint bucket tool, Bob's your uncle, and there's our shape. Okay? So that's how we created the shape. So we're just going to leave that over here for the time being. And then let's go ahead and import another design element. We have pre-digitized fonts. So we'll bring in our Neon Arial font. And this will make the process of creating your text a lot easier. So we're going to ungroup all of this. And we're going to pull over the letters that make up Custom Garage. So we have a C, we have a U, we have an S. Now the T is made up of two parts, so we'll grab T, and there's O, and then M. So there's our custom, right? And then we're going to go ahead and pull over our lettering for garage, which will consist of our G, our A, and our R. Now we don't need A and G again because we already have it, so we'll pull over E. So that takes care of all of that. So we'll go ahead and get rid of all of our lettering there. Bring that over here. And then we can begin the process of spacing our letters. So this I just kind of do by eye. There's really no... If we hold our shift key down, that will constrain our movement to perfectly horizontal. So that will certainly help us keep all of our lettering aligned properly. So there's custom, and then our spacing for our A, I don't know, maybe we'll give it a little bit more spacing. Keep in mind that we do have to add some thickness to this lettering for the thickness of the LED that we're going to be using. In this case, we're going to be using 6mm LED for the words. I'm just going to move my E just a little bit so I can give a little bit more space to my G here. Okay, so there is Custom Garage. So now I'm going to go ahead and group this together, and then I'll show you something really cool that we can do. So there's Custom Garage. So we're going to come up here to our envelope tool, and we're going to grab our little eyedropper and click on that shape that we created and imported. And now you can kind of see this little dotted outline. If I double click on that, you notice our shape, or our text, takes on the shape. So we'll go ahead and line that up, and now you can kind of see what it looks like. Custom Garage. Okay? So now I can go ahead and delete the actual shape because we don't need that anymore. We will go ahead and line up that to the center. So now you can see where it says Custom Garage. Now from here, I can go ahead and add my stroke. So in this case, we're going to use 6mm, so we'll click on Add Stroke, and now you can see that my stroke's been added. But just like we did down here where we had that small spacing, we need to do the same thing up here. So you can see here on the M, it's a little bit tight right there. So we can come in here and modify that though. So what we'll do, first things first, is let's ungroup all that, and then we can manipulate it from there. So we will delete that node and that node, and we'll just make that a straight line segment, and then we can just add a little bit of spacing there. I'm going to add a little bit of more spacing up here too, just a little bit. Doesn't have to be too serious. Switch over here. We'll go ahead and get rid of those two nodes. We'll just make that a straight line segment. Same thing, just to add just a little bit of spacing there. So that all looks good except maybe our T. We can use trim ends for that. Just to trim that back a little bit. All that's fine. Our G here, I think we are going to do that in 2 pieces. That's how I normally do it on those sharp corners like that. Go ahead and switch over here. So again, we'll delete that, right click to line, and then we can pull that over, add a little bit of space up top. Now here, we'll use trim ends. Just to bring that in a little bit on that side, and then shift trim ends on this side to add our little bit of spacing there. Our R, add a little space there. This will be all one piece, but we'll pull this back. So we'll have a little bit of space right there. And then move it on here. We will delete that, make that a line, and we'll pull that back here. A little bit of space there. And then on the A, we're going to do the same thing that we did previously. There we go. And then G here, a little bit of space there. And then our E, this is all going to be 1 except here. So we'll go ahead and trim that back. One more. All right, so now we have all that little bit of spacing that we needed to add between our letters. That's all good to go. I am going to add a little bit more space on our M here. So our space between all of our letters looks good. Everything else looks good. Okay. So now from here, we could kind of do the same thing we did previously, in that the Shift Add Backer board. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's make a copy of this, and that's going to be a new stage. So Shift Add Backer board. There was one element it did not add our backer board to, and that is our O here. So we will convert outline to object, and then we'll just go ahead and do this one manually. So there's that. We'll break it apart. Then we can select all of that and weld it together so you can kind of see what we have here. Let's go back into now it looks this way because our text and everything is all one color. So let's change that so that part of it is different. There we go. Okay. So that's what that looks like. Now, I don't really like this outline at all. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of recreate this outline. So we'll go like that. And then we'll come up here and go like that. So let's see, we'll go right about there. And then I can come down here and just kind of connect these two. We'll switch over here. Let's go to wireframe mode so maybe we can see this a little bit better. So this I want there. And sometimes we can use what it gives us, and other times I would just rather recreate it. So that looks good. Go back to our node edit tool here. Pull this down, pull this up and out a little bit. Okay, so then we can go ahead and get rid of that one, and then we're left with this. We can go ahead and connect this to that. Now, this is a little bit too tight here, which is not a big deal. Let's do this. Let's first of all, let's combine this, and let's join those nodes. Then we have to join these over here. All right, so now we have, that is all basically one piece. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab these nodes, and we'll just pull it out to add. That might have been a little excessive. What we ultimately wanted here. A little bit more this way. That's a little bit too much. Okay, and that's probably okay just like that. Good enough. Okay, so we're going to change that to black and have no outline. We'll push that to the bottom. Okay, so now we have our custom garage, but we don't have, this backer is not part of this one. And so we're going to fix that real quick just by coming in here and just kind of, we'll grab our 2-point line tool here and we'll just click and click. And remember before I said I wanted the exact same thing on the other side. So what we're going to do is grab our rectangle. It has to be wider than our car. So we're going to center it up. And then if I duplicate this and grab my rectangle and flip it, it'll be the exact same spot on the other side. How cool is that, right? And so now we can go ahead and grab our Smart Fill tool. And looks like we're not quite where we need to be, but that's okay. We'll just grab our 2-point line tool here, and we will connect it a little bit differently. All right, so now we have this as one piece, and this is a separate piece. Okay, so we're going to combine those pieces, and then we'll switch over to, you can see here, these, we'll go ahead and join those. These, we'll go ahead and join those. And now we can give that a fill of some sort. Okay, and so all we have to do then is fill that in. So now if we select that and our backer here, now you can kind of see it all coming together here. And I'm just going to stop this right here. Now we do want to add J's up at top for J's Custom Garage, but we'll just stop it right here. And that should give you some good understanding of how we go about creating our layouts. Now, there is a little bit more to actually making this production ready, but I didn't really want to go into all the nit and gritty of that. I just wanted to show you just the basics of what we can do when we take the artwork that we created from our phone, bring it in here to CorelDRAW, and then fine-tune some of the rest of it. So hopefully you learned a little something, and thanks for watching.